Hour, I hereby call to order the regular meeting of the Ojai Planning Commission for Wednesday, April 20th, 2022. Sherry, would you call roll, please?
Chair Quilisi,
Here?
Vice Chair Nolan,
Here.
Commissioner Trent,
Here.
Commissioner Bennett,
Here.
and Commissioner Lottis is absent.
Okay. And the Pledge of Allegiance, if Vice Chair Nolan would lead us, please?
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, it's time for public communications, that time when we invite the public to speak on matters of city business other than scheduled agenda items. Sherry, do we have anyone who wishes to speak during public communications?
We just got some people. Nobody's raising their hand.
Okay, then we'll move on. Disclosure of site visits and ex parte contacts. We've all been to the El Roblar already, I think, haven't we? Okay, then, and we answered this question last time when the issue came up. All right, let's move on then to our public hearing item, design review, permit review of lighting plan and landscaping plan, bicycle parking details and materials board associated with the Hotel El Roblar project. Lucas?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Lucas Seibert, Community Development Director with the City of Ojai. Just to give a little bit of background, this item was heard at the April 6th Planning Commission meeting where the Commission voted to approve the project 4-1 with two items to come back to the Commission date certain for tonight's hearing. They include the lighting plan, which has been referenced as condition 6E within the resolution, which is attachment A to this report, and the landscaping plan, which is referenced as condition number 6M, as well as the details associated with each. Tonight, the Commission is considering the review and determination of these two items, which include both the lighting plan and landscaping plan and their associated details, which are included in the staff report and attachments for tonight's review. The lighting plan and details provided as attachment B to the report include the parking lot lighting, pathway lighting, and ornamental lighting throughout the Hotel El Roblar site. The applicant's lighting consultant is available tonight if the Commission has questions as it relates to those details. The landscaping plan and details provided as attachment D to the report include a variety of plants which are included in the planting plan provided as L201. The landscaping consultant is also available if the Commission has specific questions related to that matter. Additionally, the bicycle parking, which was discussed at the April 6th meeting, has been included within both plans as a part of the details, and there's a detail for that bicycle parking as well. Colors and materials board is provided, and I'll pass that around here for the Commission to review. The materials, the specific construction details are actually included within the packet of information for tonight as well. The colors that you see there are actually the sample colors that you would grab from like a Home Depot or a Lowe's. With that, the additional details that have been provided tonight, staff is recommending approval of this item. I do have and can put up on the screen the landscaping plan as well as the lighting plan if necessary as a point of reference for discussion tonight.
I think the audience would love to see that.
Okay. With that, if the Commission has any questions, I can certainly entertain them. I know the applicant is here and available and ready to respond to questions regarding both of those matters.
Okay. Vice Chair Nolan, any questions for staff?
No, I'm good at the moment.
Okay. Commissioner Bennett?
No.
Commissioner Trent?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. We have kind of plowed this ground a few times already. Long meeting last time. I think it would be time to hear from the applicants if they have anything else they would like to add.
Good evening. No, we actually don't have much to add. I feel like we've seen you a lot in the last few months, and I think we've presented the lighting and landscape proposals, and we're here to answer any questions. Our team's here. We also have Leland Walmsley here, who's the landscape architect, Joanne Derlitis, who you met as the architect. And on the Zoom, I think we have Sean O'Connor lighting, Michael Lombardi, if you have any questions on the lighting.
Yeah, I see Michael Lombardi?
Yeah.
He's in the waiting room, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay, I compliment you on the detail that you have here. I was overwhelmed down to the color of the bike racks and the details of how you put the posts in the ground.
It can get very detailed, yes.
Can, yes.
Well, thank you, I think.
Okay. Well, thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Let me see if I have, just a second here.
I feel a landscape plan question coming.
Actually, no, I didn't have any problems with the landscape plan. I mean, there were a couple things that I know I use in this area where I'm kind of like on the cusp of, are they going to get frost damage? But I would say generally it was fine. I did have one question, though. I know on the landscape plan they had a notation that it was a Cal Green project. I don't recall seeing that on the architect's plans. Did I miss that?
Well, it had to do with shading.
Oh, it was for the shading.
Shade trees, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But were you using it for the entire project, doing a Cal Green project, or was it just for the landscape shading portion?
Just in terms of, so it doesn't take into account the building and how the building
Okay.
shades, but it had to do with how the trees shade
Okay.
hardscape, landscape, and parking areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes I know the water, the building is
Right.
incorporated into that, and I didn't recall seeing that, and maybe I missed it, but
Okay.
good. Thanks.
As far as Cal Green, the plans meet the minimum Cal Green standards as
Yeah.
dictated by the building code.
Okay, thanks. And then I did have a couple of lighting questions. And let me just flip over. I think, let's see, there was one of the Tivoli lights that looks like type
Hey, Sherry, could you bring in
Fx9.
Michael Lombardi
Oh, yeah, I'll wait till
out of the
it
waiting
gets
room
on
into
there.
the, yeah.
Which page is this, Kathy?
Actually, if you go to attachment B, page 1 of 65, it's the
Okay.
lighting, or landscape
Right.
lighting layout, and they have some photo imagery.
Right.
Across the top.
Yeah, so up at the top, there's one of the Tivoli lights, and maybe this is a question for staff as well. It's showing the bulb fixture below the shade. Is that a problem or not?
So if the bulb is above the shade has to be above the bulb. Because
Okay,
the
so-
lighting has to be shielded down.
That's what I thought. So, I guess what I'm saying is on this one, they may just need to swap out the fixture and the
Which page are we talking
So
about?
if you go out to attachment B, page 1 of
It's
65.
the LT 100 sheet.
Yeah, LT 100. And there's imagery of the lighting fixtures. And if you look up at the kind of upper left, right corner, it says type FX9. It looks like one of the Tivoli type fixtures.
Yeah, that looks like Tivoli lights.
Yeah, and my question was about the bulb location in relationship to the shade.
This
For
would
dark
actually meet
sky.
that standard because the shade itself is above the bulb, so it's projecting
So
down.
the bulb can be hanging below.
Correct.
Okay, so that's really probably
That's
one of my own
consistent.
things, but I just, for clarification, good. And then, I know that the lighting plan also, we got all the details, and the cut sheets, and I had just a couple comments. It said for the finishes per interior designer, and I was just curious what the finish was gonna be. It might vary on all of the lights, I'm not sure, but if there was a general finishing color.
I think it's going to vary, but generally it'll be a dark bronze or an iron
Okay.
finish, like a
Oh, I'm good
classic
with that.
Spanish, depending on the fixture.
Okay, good. And then one other comment, and I know I have experienced this as well when trying to select dark sky friendly fixtures. I appreciated the fact that on a lot of the fixtures that could be used as like a directional or a down or an up light, they had a notation that said fixture oriented in downlight position, which I know I've done before myself too. But the question that I had, and this issue had come up with me before, was does it have to be locking, or does that suffice to just have the notation?
It would suffice. The
I
only
agree.
thing
Yeah. Yeah,
so, and this is true for any business that's existing. If in the
Right.
future they end up having uplighting, it becomes a code compliance issue.
right.
And we address it on a case-by-case scenario.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted clarification on it. So that's good. So I'm generally good with that. And then I guess my other question was, let me just flip through here real quick. I think it's on the landscape plan. And that was just where the bike parking was, and I'm probably staring right at it, but
It's near the
Right
the
entrance?
bus stop on the corner of
that's what I
Signal.
thought. Okay.
It's on the, God, it's the south end of the
Oh,
parking
yeah.
lot.
Yep.
Southeast corner there.
Okay,
Correct.
yeah. I think those are basically my only questions
Very good.
or concerns, yeah.
I had the same question about the finishes, because a lot of the lighting fixtures, one was white, one was spun aluminum, one was black, and one looked to be bronze in the sheets that we were looking at, and I was wondering if the plan is to make them different or consistent.
No, I think they're going to be fairly consistent. It really depends where they're at, but most of them, I think, are the bronze,
Right.
you know.
The other thing is, I wasn't sure if intentionally you went with a more contemporary and industrial-looking light fixture over the parking areas in the back, and whether that was because you couldn't find any appropriate sort of period fixture, faux period fixtures. or
Well, I
that.
think it's, Michael, maybe you can chime in on this, but I think it's just finding something that is a downlight that doesn't, because the appropriate fixtures, I think, would spread out too much light and up and to the side, and it was just finding something really minimal.
Things
and,
like that spread a lot more out.
hopefully it just goes away. But Michael, feel free to pop in.
Hello, this is Michael speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Are we talking about the parking lot post-top fixture?
yes.
Yeah.
Great, okay. So that is a Louis Poulsen fixture. It does have some contemporary references, but it also has a little bit of a traditional hearkening as well. We did have some limitations in terms of finding a post-top that we thought would be a little bit more generic, not have too much character, but also not look too contemporary. And so this is trying to kind of find that balance, and then also meet the requirements to have no uplighting. So it was a difficult task in terms of meeting all of that criteria. And this is what we settled upon after reviewing with the design team several different options.
I think if we put something a little more decorative and traditional, it'll draw attention to it. And I think it's an area, for the parking, it's really task lighting, and you want it to go away as much as possible. So if we had traditional posts. it would
Down
just-
but wide, yeah.
Yeah, but it would just light up the parking lot with traditional posts. And
This fixture called the Art Luna Studio fixture, is it going to be hanging in trees? Is that what it is?
I think so. That's right, Michael?
Yes, that is correct. It would be hanging within the tree canopy, below the tree canopy.
And it's there as a decorative object as opposed to throwing specific light onto specific areas, is
Yes.
that right? Okay.
Area lighting.
Page 51,
I
64.
had a quick question on type LL19. It's the exterior decorative sconce. It's on page 64, 65. Is that, and I don't know if this is a staff question, but it looks like the light it doesn't have any, well, it's not hanging down from the top, it's coming up from the bottom. And it looks like it's on the interior wall of the outside of the front of the hotel. I was just wondering if that meets the dark sky ordinance.
It would, and here's why. One, it's got a cover on it, but two, it's within the patio towards that front, so it's
So it's got a
acting as
roof over it as well.
yeah,
It's
it's
under
got a
the
roof
pergola,
over its head
yeah.
too. So
Okay, cool.
Okay. I just had one. This is the Fx9 fixture that was referred to before. It looks to me on sheet LT 100 like you have a roughly cylindrical globe there. Oops. And the Fx9 description back in the package, page 38 through 40, I think it is, shows, through 41, shows a different round globe. I don't know that it matters, but it seems like the round globe will potentially scatter more light up.
I think, Michael, maybe you can help me on this one, but I imagine it might be different options on the globe if you're seeing things with that spec.
I believe so. If
Well,
you're
I see on
looking at the
page
cut-
40, yeah, there's a couple of roughly cylindrical globes as well.
Yes, sometimes with these specs, you can choose which globe you want to use. So when
Okay.
you look at the sheet, there'll
Okay.
be options, but what's called out in the main page
Right.
should be the right one.
Okay, otherwise, I'm happy with both plans. Commissioner Trent, did you have any other question for the applicants?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Very comprehensive.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry, do we have anyone who wishes to speak, either in the waiting room or in this room on
No.
this item?
Nope.
All right, then we'll open and then close the public hearing and go to deliberations. Any thoughts? Or,
Well,
I think,
yeah.
get some thoughts and then a motion,
Yeah.
one way or another.
Well, I'm very pleased with what came before us tonight. I mean, it was, more than thorough. We got a lot of, all the way through construction documents. And I think I got my questions answered. So I'm feeling positive. Happy, yes.
Good,
Happy.
good. Commissioner Bennett?
I like the plant palette that's been chosen. I think it will be a very pleasant space to walk around once it's grown in a bit. And the light fixtures are anodyne, which is, except for the little umbrellas, which are sort of falling out to be looked at, the rest of them are pretty anodyne. Anyway, I'm very pleased by both the landscape and the color choices and the.
Yeah, the color choices look great.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Commissioner Trent?
I agree with the other two commissioners. I think it's very comprehensive, like I mentioned before, and I like the classic style of the light fixtures that were chosen. Very artistic, and it will match well with the decor of the hotel. And I like the landscaping plan as well. It's very, very comprehensive. It looks like, a lot of drought tolerant stuff, which is fantastic. So being mindful of, our drought situation here is great. So I appreciate it.
Okay. And I'm equally happy with both plans. I do have a couple of questions for staff on the resolution itself, because that's the legal document that we sign and that the applicants sign. So maybe we could pick that up just for a moment.
certainly.
And as a start, this would be the resolution that was, of course, approved last time, as opposed, because tonight we're just looking at a approval, if desired, of the landscaping and lighting plans.
Yes, well, I did have one question, because I had not seen all the detail of the resolution that we approved in principle
Right.
last time.
Right.
So I just had a
Okay.
few questions there. This is in attachment A, that's the Planning Commission resolution. Page 5, I know I spoke with Lucas about this. This is the first paragraph. It's a subparagraph G of one of the whereases, the recitals, I think they're called. How do we know that the utilities and services are adequate? Do we have well-served letters?
Yes.
And I'm wondering if it wouldn't serve the city better if the will-serve letters had to come in with the application. And if they weren't there, then
that-
staff wouldn't have to worry about analyzing projects until they were there.
Correct. And that's something that we require as a part of the submittal package.
You do?
Although
Okay.
it's tested in the end at the building permit stage, not the land
Oh,
use
yes,
entitlement stage.
yes, sure.
Correct.
Sure, okay. And then page 8, and this is condition 3AII. And line 5 and 6 there, as I mentioned to Lucas earlier, I think we need a clarification here of hotel guest. The condition in 3AII to ensure that hotel guests arriving by car, et cetera, was the language that Mr. Summers proposed at the last meeting, and I thought it not just adequate, but excellent. And I thank you for that. The problem that I have is that there are other places in the resolution where the phrase hotel guest occurs. In particular, it's on page 9, condition 4AI, line 8, and it is, maybe that's the only other one. But I'm suggesting that we insert wordage there that makes clear what the definition of hotel guest is. Because for other purposes, particularly the valet parking, there was a clear definition, I thought, that we all agreed to, that did not require, allowed, but did not require valet parking for people who wished to use the restaurant or the event center. And so, and who might arrive other than at the portico by car.
So the key there is that anybody who arrives by car, regardless of the purpose for which they're arriving by car, must use the valet parking. There is no self-parking allowed on site.
On site.
Correct.
Yes.
So that's where I think the language captures it. Hotel guests arriving by car must utilize the valet. It doesn't matter why you're coming to the hotel. If you
Okay.
arrive by car,
So guest
you
is
cannot
guest
park
or
yourself.
patron or whatever.
Exactly. No one can park their own vehicle on the site as proposed and as more accurately as approved.
Okay.
Anyone off the site can park as desired, but this condition
There's-
doesn't care
there's-
about
yeah.
arriving off-site.
Right,
This
okay.
condition cares about if you drive up to the hotel and you drive onto the property, you cannot park it yourself. It must be valeted. That's the reference to arriving by car. So if I walk up, you're fine. If I drive up from LA or Santa Barbara and I park
Park in front of the theater.
at the front of the theater, if I legally park somewhere else and I walk to the hotel, you're fine. No concern. I don't care where they park. What matters is if they drive their vehicle onto the hotel site, they cannot park it themselves. It must be valeted, regardless of whether they're coming for a restaurant or hotel or an event,
Okay, so
any
you
other
can't,
purpose.
you can't drive into the Circle Drive, drop off your passengers, and go somewhere like in front
Well,
of
a
the theater.
drop-off is fine. Yeah, a drop-off is fine. If the trick is, are you parking on the site or not? So if a person who's driving in, say I'm an Uber driver or a
Oh,
car
okay,
service,
so maybe
Car
we need
service drives
language that
up.
says, and intend to park on site.
and I think that's inherent in the existing resolution because, again, what's prohibited is you cannot self-park. So we can always tweak the language if need be. I'll note that tweaking the language of this resolution is not on tonight's agenda. What is on tonight's agenda is the landscaping and lighting plan. However, an appeal was filed this afternoon of the project, of this resolution itself. So any tweaks that need to be made, if desired, could be made by council. But the question the point stands in terms of the
Okay.
clarification.
Okay. Then I have no questions other than those that have already been stated for the lighting and landscaping plans. Would anyone like to make a motion with regard to those two plans? Kathy?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we adopt planning resolution number 22 21-005. It's a design review permit for DRP 21-003. And let me make sure I don't think I have to read everything.
With
in there.
respect to those two plans.
Correct.
Yes.
Because we
The
passed
full
the rest of it.
resolution was passed last time, so
Yeah,
it's,
okay. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't even be reading it off.
yeah, in other words, I would.
Correct.
If I could offer, perhaps it,
Thank you. Yeah, I was just, normally I do that, but yeah, because
of
we've already
course.
done that.
exactly.
This is, yeah.
It would be
ancillary.
to, planning commission decision, not resolution, to approve
Okay.
the proposed landscaping and lighting plans pursuant to conditions 6E and 6M. Thank you.
6M and 23, or,
Right. So I don't really need to repeat that, but I
No.
will actually
Say
say,
so moved.
yeah, so moved, exactly.
all right?
I second the motion.
Second the motion. Any discussion? Sherry, let's call the roll then.
Quillisi,
Yes,
Nolan,
Yes?
Trent,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a wonderful project.
yeah, we look forward to coming over and enjoying it.
All right, moving right along then, item 2 for tonight. Love seeing you all again. All right, item 2 is priorities of Planning Commission and Community Development Department. Lucas?
Thank you, Chair. So this item is really it's going to be on it's going to be on all of our agendas moving forward, obviously. But I wanted to specifically note tonight that we're looking to have cannabis come to this commission for additional discussion as a follow-up from the, I want to say, March 2nd meeting when we first discussed it. So just know that staff is working to finalize the staff report and additional information. So that's being covered within one of the work plan items. So just know that.
And I see you have it on May 4th, so,
Yes, May the 4th.
okay, so the priorities, is there something new that we need to discuss tonight?
Nope. It's just simply this, for tonight's discussion, it's just an update in terms of where staff is at.
Keep all of these items in front of us so that we don't forget any of
Absolutely,
them. Yes,
absolutely.
that's good. Okay, well, let's move on to item 3 then.
Wait, I
I'm
want to make
sorry.
sure that we may have
sorry.
public comment. Yeah.
We do have one speaker for item 2. Bill Miley, come forward, please.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Bill Miley. Hello. I am hoping the commission will initiate the parking study soon. And in my email, I used a bunch of little emoji to encourage you, okay? Once the Ojai Playhouse, I believe there's a new name, but I don't know it, starts showing movies and having other events, parking will be in demand. Plus the business next door. I don't know the name of that restaurant
I think
but
there's
they had a
more
line of
outlets there.
they had a line of people out tonight as I drove down Signal. There were like 10 people waiting to get in. Okay. I should have gone over and asked where they
Good
parked.
for them.
Okay. The opinions about parking needs are wide-ranging from, I've never wanted for a space, one of my friends says, or I've said, I wanted to get a meal at a downtown restaurant, but found no convenient parking, so Cookie and I went to Taco Bell. Who's right? Maybe we don't need more city parking. Maybe we do need more city parking. As you know, it's been 30 years since the last official parking study was done. I know the general plan is a major responsibility for the commission, and that's right. But as I believe the parking study would be through a RFP, request for a proposal by another company. And the city would contract out the study, I believe. Having an experienced firm determine what we have, what we need, what is predicted for the foreseeable future and present options for managing tourism parking, event parking, and not overwhelming our city with vehicles would really be a help to guide decision-making in the future by you and other commissions. And maybe they'll find out we don't need it. But I would encourage you to consider seriously getting that RFP going. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lucas, what would be the general process? I know we don't have a budget, so we make a recommendation. If we felt like we needed to do this, we would make a recommendation to the city council that they engage a parking consultant.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be the majority of the commission making that recommendation
Right.
to
Okay.
council.
Okay. Anybody else with hand raised in the waiting room, Sherry? Oh, nice and quiet. Okay. Well, I see some of these we're going to get back to. There was one I was curious about, the formula business discussion. Well, we'll come to that. We'll move on to item 3, future agenda items. And I see,
Chair Quillisi?
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
That's right. I just had a question, this is kind of for staff as well. Using the parking study as an example, would we ask to have it agendized for a future meeting, maybe with a set date? And then have the discussion and then see if we had buy-in from enough commissioners to move it forward to city council?
If there's a specific item on there, yes. If we're talking parking,
Yeah.
any of these items.
May I do that now? Would this be the appropriate time, or do I, while the item is still open?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the whole point of this
Okay,
being
I
on every.
just want to make sure I
Right.
was doing it correctly. So Chair Quillisi, I would like to see the parking study / program move forward and be agendized so that we could have a discussion and then take it from there.
I think what Lucas just said is it is agendized because it's here.
Oh,
Is that
so well,
right?
in other words, we could do this right now. Is that what you're saying? I just want to.
Well, there isn't a staff report that goes along with each one individually. It's more itemizing each one. If you want to pull one of those off and then go into a deeper discussion, we could certainly have that on a future agenda.
Right. The details, it would have to be listed on an item. I also understand, as to parking, the council has created an ad hoc
That's what I-
city council parking committee of council members. I believe it's Councilmember Francina and Councilmember Wyrick.
Correct, yeah.
And I believe I know they met the other day. I believe they're moving forward. So my suggestion would be
We
the
get a
planning
report.
commission request
Yeah.
that the parking study move forward, and the first line of that request be for Mr. Siebert to confer with Mr. Vega to put the two efforts together.
Yeah,
And I believe I wasn't at the parking committee's meeting, but I know they met the other day.
right.
So I assume there's a piece of that that's gonna move forward. I'm not sure whether that would start with a council discussion or come back to this commission, but either way, they can move forward and we can,
Okay.
what's the word I want? Coordinate the moving it
Yeah.
forward so it's not two in parallel.
Yeah, I
but
was aware
two
of that
together.
as well, and I was going to bring that up. I mean, I don't know any of the details other than the fact that I know that they're, they have a committee working on parking. So,
So informal request of staff to coordinate
right,
that effort with putting something with a brief summary on our agenda
Yeah, I think that'd be
to
fine.
recommend
Yeah.
that this go forward would be sufficient?
I have a question, and I don't know how to insert it into this, and that is, there's a question of timing of a parking study, and it would seem to me with a theater potentially going online and El Roblar going online within the next 2 years, most probably, should we be doing the research necessary for this after they go online and we actually see what the impacts are, as opposed to speculating, because we really don't know what it's going to look like out there when there's a scramble for parking spaces, where we've got more data. So,
Like with El Roblar, the on-site parking space requirement is clear by
Right.
by code, but we have no idea what the impacts of the restaurant and the event center are really going to be.
But I will say, based on all the projects that we've had over the years, not just recently, you know, there invariably is some issue with parking. And the only way I guess we would know is if a report or a study was conducted. And then, of course, yes, we're going to have new businesses here and there, including, you know, El Roblar.
A couple of
and
big ones downtown, we
Right.
could update that report,
But I would
guess.
think, based on what's going on with parking recently, that it would be good to move it forward. And obviously, the city council thought enough to, you know, form a committee right now and start doing some work on their own. But it would be good for us to hear, you know, what they're doing and then coordinate the efforts as Matt
Yeah.
Summers was
Okay.
alluding to.
Well,
That's my opinion.
go work it.
We'll schedule it for a future agenda in the near. We'll call it the near future.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily put a specific date on it, but just know to be in the near future.
Well,
Unless the commission wants to put a specific
I
date on
wouldn't,
it.
because we haven't coordinated with the council yet.
Yeah. Okay.
right. But I would hope that we could say, you know, within the next 4 months or 3 months,
Oh,
3
yeah,
or 4 months? Okay. In other words, so it wouldn't roll over till next year? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's just tough to put a precise date on it because we have to
Yeah.
coordinate with the parking committee.
And I just want to register my sensitivity when the formula business discussion first started. It was initiated at the city council, who said to us, in effect, go take a look at this, but here's the answer we like. And I would hate to see the same thing happen with parking. So if we can coordinate it a little better and at least have the planning commission have some voice in the parking before the city council decides what the answer is, that would be really great.
Agreed.
And I think that's one of the goals, is to really sort out how best to do a robust commission and public discussion of the parking study and
Right.
parking options. And the study, of course, the output of that is a series of options for things that could be done to adjust the parking standards and codes and requirements and programs. And ideally get a robust discussion.
If that's the output of the initial study, maybe before we even engage a contractor or a consultant, I think that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the precise timing there, but the idea is to have a robust public process, including this commission and, of course, the public.
Okay. Let's move on to the future agenda items then, tab 3. I can see we have a couple of things coming up here at our next meeting in 2 weeks. Do you want to give us 25 words or less on any of these things, or
Without
say there'll be a staff report in 2 weeks?
right, without slapping, the attorney slapping my hand. I will say this: the May 4th, we were looking at the lot line adjustment coming forward for 214 Bryant Street. I don't see that coming forward on May 4th. There's some additional work that they need to do that we're looking into. So
Okay.
that one is, I
Likely
thought we were
slip.
ready to go, but looking closer at it, there's some other things that need to be cleared up first. That may allow for an opportunity. I was just talking to staff today about inserting another project that may end up going in there. I can't mention what it is currently, but just know that we're looking to align something else to fit that mold instead.
Okay. The next
But in
one-
terms of the rest of it, cannabis, general plan update, work program, or work plan, those are all tracking for May 4th.
Now, it says cannabis discussion rather than cannabis public hearing. So the expectation is that we're going to discuss it but not make any recommendations against specific pieces of the issue?
Well, the thought is that with this, the discussion could be the recommendation moving forward. We have some information, we meaning staff has information that we'll be providing to the commission to help guide them in some of the potential recommendations moving forward. So just,
God, this is for item 3? Okay.
yeah, just know that we're looking at both what the commission had asked for clarification, and what council had asked for in terms of guidance for the commission, I guess, to a certain degree.
Okay, so we need to go through some discussion before we make a recommendation.
Right. And that could happen at this next meeting. However, if there's still some unresolved points, we could go back and look at those as well.
That's
That's
all
as far as I want to go
was
before.
concerned about is the legal
start giving
difference
hints.
between
Yeah.
a discussion item and a public hearing item.
Yep.
That item needn't be a public hearing item, but it should still result in some recommendations as presently structured. Because
Okay.
it's in Title 4, not Title 10.
And I don't believe it would require a resolution. It could simply be recommendations and then those points be taken forward to council.
Okay,
Right. And we may end up looking at Title 10 with a subsequent public hearing thereafter, but I think we still have to trip up through council first.
Correct.
Could we get a copy of whatever the city council had to say about this before they referred it to us?
You mean minutes, or are you talking the report that came forward?
Well-
We could attach that for, yeah, the staff report and minutes as a part of the record. But I believe we did that with the last item when it came back in March.
Yeah.
That's good too.
Yeah, I'm
For
just
historical
looking for
record, yeah.
context of
Sure.
what they're looking for. As our chairman said, you don't want to get all to the end of the process and find that they actually had something else in mind when they.
Right.
any other questions? Commissioner Trent, any questions about future agenda items?
No, I'm good. I'm okay. Thank you for that, though.
I had just one more, and I see you've got a bunch of pending things. Those could all be major items. Those could be one night at a time kind of items.
Correct.
As far as the formula business discussion, aside from the number that is one point of contention about what constitutes a formula business, there is still some information that the commission needs about definitions of common marketing and digital marketing and those kinds of things. So
Yeah,
I
we're,
presume that'll be part of a staff report when you are ready.
right. And if this commission recalls correctly, there was a draft ordinance that was brought forward for discussion, and that included those bits and pieces that you're talking about, but flushing out some of that.
It included some terms that I don't think the commission well understood. And
Right.
that's why we were asking for more clarification.
Yeah, there's some stuff to unpack there.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't see the theater on here, and I know it's in the pipeline. It's been in sort of public discussion, and there was an Historic Preservation Commission meeting on it.
Yeah, I can't go into too much detail since it's not on the agenda, but yeah, the last HPC meeting reviewed and considered it, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so they'll be making a recommendation to us regarding some historic aspects, I suppose.
They already have, yeah, as a part of their.
And to the city council in terms of landmarking, or is it already landmarked?
No, it doesn't go to council.
It's already landmarked.
It's already landmarked, okay.
That was done
2020,
Yeah.
January 2020.
2 years ago.
There is one thing left that is certainly in the planning commission's purview, and that is the fact that current land use regulations don't allow a theater in the commercial district. So I think we're gonna have to discuss that at some point. Those land use tables in chapter.
The city's present
Title 10,
position is
Chapter
that the Playhouse Theater is a legacy project and can continue under its existing and past usage as a legacy facility.
So non-conforming is probably the best way to put that. It's just non-conforming by the way in which the use chart identifies it.
Okay, and it doesn't matter that the CUP defined use had not been exercised for 4 years or 5 years or whatever.
It was never officially abandoned because they always were doing construction work within the timelines set by the state building code.
Okay,
So the use is
Thank you.
never legally expired. Although obviously it hasn't been, the lights haven't been turned on.
been a
but the
long
use-
remodel,
It's effectively been a very, very long remodel with obviously some litigation and some other things in the mix.
sure.
So
Okay.
legally, it is still able to restart as a theater.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Right.
the legal aspect of it.
But I would assume if they're going to change the signage, change the light, the paint color, things like that, that it would come to this body for design review.
I believe that's in the works in the upcoming item.
We're,
I
yeah,
don't know
we're,
when
we're working
date-wise,
on the
but-
details for that currently, yes.
Great, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Wonderful. Sherry, do we have anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this agenda item 3? Aha. Come on down.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Bill Miley. I want to tag on to what Mr. Siebert said about the cannabis lounge C1 zoning issue that will be coming up soon. I believe I sent a commentary, and maybe you're going to do the same way, that you asked, because of the issues that were raised the last time, and I supported this, but several of the commissioners raised serious questions about the issue of consumption of cannabis in driving, which is really something that needs to be looked at. Recently, there was a New York Times article on that very issue. Maybe some of you saw it. I would suggest that Chief Rivera be considered to come as an expert witness. Also, it would seem that, and I've raised this question with Jamie Fleming of this chamber, whether or not the business community believes, maybe anonymously, that this would be a good idea for the east end of Ojai, to ask them in an opinion kind of poll, yes or no, or what, for bringing the dispensaries to the east Ojai Avenue, but also to the lounges, too, separate question. And the article in the New York Times talked about restaurant alcohol consumption. So when you put food in your stomach, you know what happens. It slows the alcohol as it enters the body. It slows it up so it can't be absorbed as quickly. But as I understand the lounges, they wouldn't be serving food other than items that had THC, cannabis in them. So it would seem to me more logically that if they were restaurants, and they were called cannabis lounge restaurants serving full meals, that people wouldn't be able to get under the influence as much because they had a lot of food in their eyes. So the other thought would be to ask the dispensary managers, owners, to talk about how they viewed the issue of cannabis and driving. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope we'll hear some of that when the actual agenda item comes up, because it's appropriate then.
Correct.
Any other questions by commissioners in terms of future agenda items? Then, seeing no apparent additional business before the commission at 7:48, I'm sorry, 6:48, whoa. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
You were.